who better than me?
Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to the channel. This isn't exactly a new episode of the Hardcore Casual. Essentially, from time to time, I record things and then they don't end up making the final cut for whatever reason. On this occasion, it was down to time. I'm attempting to get my videos down to about the 20 to 25 minute mark, ultimately to become sub 20 minutes down the line. Although I do like to waffle, so that one might take a bit of time. However, I had two videos that I recorded. I recorded a slightly longer version of the Daniel Jacobs and John Ryder reaction to obviously everything that went on. I also recorded a little something about the Ryan Garcia and Eddy Reynoso split. So I figured, why not just put them out as a 0.5? So that's what I'm going to do. So if you want to see what my extended take on the Daniel Jacobs video was, you'll see that there's also a bit more of analysis in terms of the way the fight played out and the moves and whatnot, and the reason for the whole orthodox southpaw thing, which I alluded to in a shorter one, but this one I kind of go into a bit more detail. So hope you enjoy it. Yeah, let's get on with the show. So it looks like the relationship between Eddy Reynoso and Ryan Garcia is no more. Now Ryan put out a post on his social media thanking Eddy for like the last 4 years, you know, saying, making it look very amicable, saying, you know, he wanted to go back to Joe Goosen. They had a previous relationship. I think just coming out of the amateurs, I think he was someone that he trained with quite regularly and they kept in touch. So now he just wants to go back to his roots. On the other hand, is it Ryan Garcia parting ways with the Reynoso camp? Or is it the Reynoso camp parting ways with Ryan Garcia? I'm gonna leave that one for you lot to speculate. But all I know is when you go to your own private gym in San Diego and say you're gonna be based out of that gym, whereas before you was based out of a gym which had the likes of Andy Ruiz, former unified heavyweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez, 4 division champion, current undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Oscar Valdez, 2 division champion, current WBC super featherweight champion of the world, Frank Sanchez, up and coming star in the heavyweight division, plus more. Like, you don't get that kind of work just anywhere. I mean, who is in Goosen's camp currently, or who is Ryan going to be training with? Like, how do you know, they say iron sharpens iron. Well, how is iron going to be sharpened when there's only cardboard in your vicinity? Like, if you're the best person there, how are you going to improve? You may say Joe Goosen can give more attention to him than maybe Reynoso was able to, but just being around those killers on a day-to-day basis can't do anything but elevate your game. Or you're just gonna, unless you want to be left behind, or it doesn't make much sense in the terms of him saying, you know, my goal is still to be a world champion. I mean, is he saying that Reynoso can't get him there? Is the language barrier a problem? Who knows? But to me, and this is no disrespect to Joe Goosen, because he's actually a very, very good trainer, but that seems like a downgrade. And I don't know what's going to be happening with Ryan moving forward, but let's see how his next fight goes. Maybe we'll assess it from there. But yeah, to me, I don't know about that. I have a sneaky suspicion that he was excommunicated from that vicinity because he's not dedicated enough to their liking. I mean, look, we already seen what Canelo had to say about him. Eddy doesn't really run, a ship of peacocks and prima donnas and non-commitment. He wants, effort. he wants to see people trying to implement what's going on. And maybe that just wasn't Ryan. But who knows? Like I said, that's speculation. All we know is that's happened now. So let's see how it works for him moving forward. And if it was the right decision, hey, I'll come back on a future episode and say, looks like he done the right thing. Now, let's talk about the main event. As you just saw, that was pretty much the only real footage I took while I was there. I was going to film a bit more, but I just kind of wanted to watch the fight and observe it and just sort of take in the moment. If I'm gonna be real, and I feel like a lot of people have said this already, Daniel Jacobs got robbed. To me, it was a hometown decision. Predicated maybe off the fact because that was his last matchroom fight on his contract. There could be many different reasons. I mean, look, if we're gonna do conspiracy theories, and who doesn't love a good conspiracy theory, right? At the end of the fight, what's the first thing that Tony Sims and Eddie Hearn was talking about? Oh, well, if Canelo's always said he wants to come to the UK, so I guess now you've got someone you can defend your belt against John Ryder, blah blah blah. Like, does Canelo versus Ryder fill out a stadium? There's a couple stadiums it might fill out. Again, I always go back to the smaller ones. You know, like the Stamford Bridge, the Selhurst Parks, like those kind of levels. Brentford, you know, these 25 to 30 Ks. Yeah, you could probably do that. But John Ryder, as good and as much as like I like John Ryder, like, he's not a draw like that. Realistically, we don't have anyone around those weights that's really a draw like that to make him come over here and it to be like big business, because I don't think you're going to be able to pay him the same that you get to pay him in the US. I don't know. Anyway, look, that's not what I want to talk about right now. Let me talk about the fight. So, watching the fight live, I had it 116, 112 Jacobs. I just watched it back this morning and I had it exactly the same. Like, I gave Jacobs the first 6 rounds quite comfortably. Ryder did little nice spots. There was, you know, little pockets of flurries in there, sort of within the inside and within the clinch, but for the most part Jacobs nullified a lot of that. Then his problem was, inexplicably, it started from the 3rd round when he went southpaw, and I know what he was doing, or at least I believe I know what he was doing. He was aiming to take away Ryder's advantage at that particular time, because when you're a southpaw fighter, you naturally know how to fight against orthodox. That's all you train. You very rarely train to fight against someone who's opposite foot to you, you know, sort of opposite jab. Everything you do, everything is like a mirror image from the southpaw stance, so everything comes from the exact same side. When you're obviously down, when you go and fight another southpaw, all of a sudden everything is from the opposite side. So the way your feet move, the way the way you position your body before you throw shots, like the type of shot you would normally throw against the orthodox guy, all of a sudden now you have to change that. So I get what he was doing. He was trying to make sure that Ryder never got set and never got comfortable. And in the 3rd round, when he was doing that, he had success because he did it like in spurts. He did it for maybe, I think it was like 30-40 seconds. Then he went back orthodox, got his work off, and then he switched back to southpaw, and then he switched back to orthodox. But he was doing it within the round. It was only when the openings were there. Now, the problem with obviously getting southpaw when you're a switch hitter is that even though he's okay in the southpaw stance, because Jacobs is used to putting his weight on his back foot and keeping his head towards his back foot, he instinctively puts his head closer towards his right. So when he turns southpaw, instead of his head moving back towards his now left leg, he still keeps it in line more with what his right leg is doing, just because naturally that's how he's always moving, which allowed John Ryder to be able to get in a lot quicker on him and be able to hit him with shots that he wasn't able to catch him with from the orthodox stance. Because in orthodox, Jacobs will normally have this hand sort of close up here, so when Ryder's trying to go for a hook, the hand's already sort of covering, and left hand's down, and you can slip and evade anything coming from that side. As soon as he turned to southpaw, all of a sudden this hand is now the one that's further down and this hand's up. But Ryder's not, he doesn't care about this side, because his whole attack is based on what this hand's normally doing. So Jacobs was getting caught a lot more with jabs and everything coming from that side, because he wasn't defending it as naturally, because he was keeping that hand low. Part of that is, again, because if anyone's ever kept their hands in this sort of position or anywhere, you can feel that sometimes your shoulders get tired, your arms get tired, so you want to always shake one out. So sometimes going southpaw is like, because that's his power hand, he wants to kind of keep that loose and relaxed, and then be able to initiate a powered jab from his lead and dominant hand. That's sometimes the benefit of going southpaw, is you're able to get more snap and more torque on your jab, because it's naturally your harder, the fist that you hit the hardest with. But yeah, without going into whole technical analysis, so he stayed in that position way too long, allowed Ryder to then be able to come in and exert his work, exert his pressure on the fight, which didn't need to happen at that time. He wasn't, I mean, there might have been times where he looked not so much hurt, but he looked maybe very uncomfortable. I think maybe the gas tank wasn't the greatest. Gabe Bazardo, at the start of the broadcast, I know he was saying that when he came over to face, who did he face? Was it Spike O'Sullivan? Or Matthew Mack? No, it was Matthew Macklin. So he came over to fight him. I think he came over a couple weeks early because the jet lag for him was bad. Now he's more, I think he's been living on the West Coast, so it would have been a lot sort of harder, because there's an extra 3 hours there, whereas Jacobs is on the East Coast, so maybe it was a bit different. But he only came over this week, I think, so there is a potential that possibly after a while he was always going to feel it, because his body is just not naturally acclimatized to the change. But he dominated the first 6 rounds quite comfortably. Well, okay, not dominated, but he was comfortable. Like, he controlled those. Round 7, round 8, and round 9, he got the pressure put on him. He managed to take a lot of the shots. I mean, he didn't look Bambi-legged at any point. He didn't look necessarily buzzed. Ryder's not like a big power puncher. He's more of a sort of a swarming guy that kind of just accumulation and maybe just wear people down after a while. But yeah, Jacobs, he seemed uncomfortable, but he didn't seem like he was, like he was ready to go and ready to get folded or anything like that. 10th round comes, and I gave 10th round to Jacobs. He did go back southpaw a little bit, but he went back to orthodox a lot more in that round as well. He was letting off sort of the harder shots. Now at this point, Ryder's got his confidence, so he's engaging more, and every time Jacobs hit him with something hard, Ryder tried to press him to make it, oh, okay, no, I can't give that up, so you hit me, I've got to make it look like I'm about to get you back, or I get you back. But I feel like Jacobs just about edged the 10th. The 11th round was a swing as far as I'm concerned. I gave it to Ryder, but it wasn't clear. It wasn't like a clear-cut Ryder round. Jacobs was doing pretty good towards the start of it, but Ryder sort of was flurrying towards the end, and I feel like he's kind of just snatched it on activity and pressure and maybe volume of the overall shots. But 12th round, as far as I'm concerned, was a clear Jacobs round. He stayed orthodox for the majority of it. He went southpaw for the briefest of moments, and then went back to orthodox. He was landing more. Ryder was initiating the clinches, trying to get close. Jacobs was just sort of biding his time. By the end of that round, I saw, and the bunch of the people around me was like, oh, yep, Jacobs has got this comfortably. There was 2 people in front of me, goes, how have you guys got it? And I heard them say that, I don't know, I feel like Ryder might just be edging it because like every time he's hitting, all I can hear is the crowd, is bare noise from the crowd. And I've got a feeling that if there wasn't, for lack of a better phrase, favors being done by the judges, I feel like they were, especially the non-British judge who, the British judge is actually the only one that gave it to Jacobs. So clearly he knows the atmosphere. The other two may have been influenced by the crowd, just because every time Ryder even in the first 6 rounds, Ryder, whenever he got close, and even if he didn't land the shot, but it looked like it was close, they was cheering, they was in an uproar, they was willing him on. Maybe the judges saw that, and as on one of the judges' scorecards, and you'll see it on the thumbnail, one of them gave Ryder rounds 3 and 4, and I'm like, when I saw that, I'm like, hold on a minute, how did he get those 2 rounds? Like, the 4th round was Jacobs probably his most convincing round in terms of controlling the real estate in the fight, apart from maybe the first. So where do you get that one from? Another judge, one of the other judges, gave Ryder the 3rd and gave Jacobs the 4th. But when I saw that, I was perplexed. So, but yeah, if we go back to just as I was saying earlier, it seemed very much like, look, you're on your way out of this contract, you're in foreign territory, provided this guy doesn't look awful and you don't put him down or whatever, well, he's our guy, and we're angling for Canelo, so we gotta give Canelo options to want to come over here, and it's not gonna be with you. So as much as I don't want to talk them kind of talks, because I do like to think the best man should win on the night, we all know politics in life is real, and I definitely think this was a politics situation. It was just close enough that it can't be called an out and out scandal that this victory happened, and ultimately Jacobs did kind of shoot himself in the foot by not going through the gears and maybe even just putting more damage or more of a beating on Ryder. He coasted a bit from sort of rounds 5 to round 10. He was coasting. Round 10 he sort of came back a bit, and obviously round 12 Andre Rozier was like, no, we need to win these last 2 rounds. You definitely need to win this 12th. And I feel like that's when he decided, he was tired at that point, but that's when he decided, okay, look, I'm just gonna have to throw hands, just gonna have to do this, and he was more effective. But yeah, look, that's what happened. I disagree. A lot of the people I've spoken to disagree. A lot of Twitter seems to disagree. Yeah, I'm sure the next Eddie Hearn interview is going to be interesting. I'm sure he's going to say, yeah, look, well, it was close, so it could have gone either way. But nah, not on this one. I kind of get tired of that line of, it's close, so, it is what it is. But I ain't going to dwell on it. It happened. I don't know what Jacobs does moving forward. If he really wants to sort of be a two-weight champion as much as he's claiming, then he's got a bit of work to do. I guess his saving grace is that even though it was a loss, anyone looking at the fight feeling like, well, he didn't get outclassed, he didn't get out hustled, so maybe there's still other fights that people will give him. Maybe he can get himself into positions, maybe he can petition for another chance at the WBA or maybe one of the other titles, to say, well, look, this is what happened, this is the whole reaction, everyone believes I won, so give me an opportunity with this belt and let's see where we go from there. I don't know, but look, I wish him the best, and ultimately, look, I like John Ryder as well, so I'm not screaming bloody murder that he got the victory. He's a cool guy. Gabe Rosado at the end of the fight was saying he's actually going to talk to Eddy because he might want to take that fight. I think that might be an interesting one. Little dynamic of the two former enemies now become allies because one got a bad decision, so now let me go clean up the work that that he wasn't able to do. It's a good narrative. I like it. And obviously Gabe was like, well, look, this is, they say, oh, well, why won't you come fight over here? He's like, well, this is why. Like the guy got robbed. But ultimately now he knows how I feel in our fight. So that was all kind of funny, and I like all of that. But yeah, look, that was the weekend. It's been pretty eventful, pretty colourful. it was a good little show. So overall, as I say, I give it, from what I saw, like it was a C. It was like maybe a C level show. Good main event. Madiev was good. Like Scotty was a nice fun fight from what I saw watching it back. The others weren't really anything to speak home about, but yeah, I just wanted to be in attendance. I wanted to see the Miracle Man in person, and I got to achieve that. So all good. Right, I'm gonna sign this one off because I need to get down to the gym, and then I've got a bunch of things to do afterwards. Thanks for watching. I hope you again enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe as always. For right now, Hardcore Casual out.